Man, you come straight out of a comic. Man, you come straight out of a comic book. Man, you come straight out of a comic book. Comic book. Straight out of a comic book. You come straight out of a comic book. Comic book. Straight out of a comic book. You come straight out of a comic book. Comic book. You come straight out of a comic book. Man, you come straight out of a comic book. Man, you come straight out of a comic book. You come straight out of a comic book. You come straight out of a comic book. Comic book. Coming straight out of a comic book. Will Pharaoh with signing on. We coming through the comic book. Talking about pop culture, entertainment. We coming through the scene because your boy's so amazing. Icon, Static Shock, man. We salute. You know we're straight out of a comic book. We the truth, like good truth, man. We keep it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Straight Out of a Comic Book. I am your host, Will Pharaoh, and of course today with me, we got Deuce Fury in the building, Dion Lack and CT here, and we are talking about, of course, all the comic book stuff, all the pop culture stuff, but we getting into something real specific, man. D23 just recently came out, and as always, Marvel put their dicks on the table. You know what I'm saying?
That's what the D means.
Yeah, that's what the D means. This is exactly what the D means.
D23, that's what dick on table 23 times.
And they put it on there 23 times. Yes.
Hey. That's a wild soundbite right there.
Kevin Feige out of control. Woo.
Yo, and hey, CT is not lying, man. They came out with it again for D23, rolling out, letting us know what's going on for the remainder of the year in Phase 4 and looking deeper into the multiverse. Now, we're going to be a little cautious about this because, you know, CT is trying something new with us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know he like being here, so he's finding that balance of some trailers he'll check out, some information he'll look into.
Bro, are you ready for this, Will? Let me, because here's what happened, man. Those of you guys who don't know, everybody watching, I make it my business not to watch trailers because I don't want to know what's going to happen, especially with things that I know I'm going to watch. If you want to show me a trailer for a property I know nothing about, like a mystery or some type of action movie. It's like, oh, okay, I'll check that out. But when it comes to this science fiction, this comic book lore, I try not to watch. This weekend, Will Pharaoh, Young Deuces, Dion Lack of Lactose Entertainment. I saw the Secret Invasion trailer with Sam Jackson, and I'm a massive Sam Jackson fan. Something that you want to hear people say. I love Sam Jackson, so I was like, you know what? Let me just watch 10 seconds of this and then just, you know, I'll understand what's going on and then I'll just stop watching. I'll wait for it to come out. A minute and 10 seconds in, I was like, oh my God, I can't look away. It was that good. This trailer told me nothing, and that's why I loved it.
Absolutely nothing. But it got you so hyped. Like, so it was just like, I don't know what's going on, but I want to know.
Yeah. It was so contrast from Thor and She-Hulk. Like, oh, we serious. We ain't playing.
Which, by the way, in defense of Will has been wanting us to talk sooner. Soon as She-Hulk came out by episode 2, he was like, we talking about it? I was like, Will, relax, Will. We have to wait until the show is over. But I understand his excitement because every week something is happening. And for this show to only be 30 minutes, it's more.
That's a lot.
We're getting more in the 30 minutes of She-Hulk than we got in the 30 minutes of WandaVision, which was also great.
Yeah.
She-Hulk is amazing. But anyway, I watched the trailer. I couldn't help it. And they told me nothing.
Yes. But they did tell us something. And we already going to jump into it already, especially with Secret Invasion. Now, as you know, CT, if you haven't watched any of this, if you are still sticking with CT's purity to cinema, stop watching. We about to talk.
I like how you put that.
Oh yeah. He always likes to keep it pure.
That's a solid way to phrase it.
But we will start off with Secret Invasion. As you know, the trailer did drop at D23 with Sam Jackson, the GOAT of acting. I don't want to hear nothing else from nobody. And they didn't really tell us anything, but something they did tell us is a part of one of two of my hear me out. So here goes my first one. Hear me out.
HMO.
Everybody's a fucking Skrull. Everybody.
Bro.
Everybody. And here's my theory on
before you finish it. At some point, we should all drop who we think are Skrulls. Because I have some theories on who.
I'm actually about to give you that one. So what I have learned is something we've talked about on here is nothing's really coincidence when it comes to MCU. Somehow things all tie in. And so now one of my biggest theories that I have gave that kind of, I think, a more meat to the idea when I saw Secret Invasion. I think, hear me out, I think they're going to tie in the Incredible Hulk as a Skrull. I think Edward Norton's Hulk was a Skrull this entire time. Let me tell you why. If you go back and watch the Incredible Hulk, Blonsky nor General Ross, and they don't have a Betty Ross, none of them interacted with Bruce Banner at all. They only interacted with the Hulk. And then if you go back to something Black Widow said in Avengers when they first found the Hulk, she said, we have been keeping people off of your scent. What we didn't take that away from was them being able to send them on a wild goose chase. And as we also found out, Nick Fury and Agent Hill have been played by Skrulls. So who's to not say they haven't been Skrulls this entire time, keeping him off of Banner's scent, and the fact that Banner may actually be on to this as well.
So you said Edward Norton's
I think Edward Norton Hulk was a Skrull that entire time.
That's just silly.
How?
Because that's a lot. Because we're following Edward Norton. If he was a Skrull this whole time, they had to fix a lot. He didn't have to practice, his temper. Like he could just change it. He don't have to change it to him.
Well, that's true, but also too, Skrulls are known to learn to start adapting to not only their humans, but also the people that have powers. So who's to say he wasn't learning how to mimic that, which is a part of this invasion?
I would love to see him fix it with Edward Norton and Terrence Howard, of how they kind of finagled those, like how to make it make sense into a Skrull thing.
That's one of my theories, is that Rhodey has been a Skrull since the change. Since the change of actors, Rhodey has been a Skrull. Because even the way that Fury worded it, like, when he asked him, like, what do you know about your detail? And I'm just like, I just feel like at some point, like Rhodey, his whole trajectory changed as far as his status as a military, as a political figure and everything. And it's just like, he became really ambitious really fast. You know what I'm saying? He was already working with the government way early in Iron Man 2. So it's like, I feel like since that change of the actor, like they may not reference the actor change or anything, but I'm saying since Iron Man 2, he's been a Skrull.
It's a lot to unpack because it's 10 years. They didn't think that far ahead. I know they did.
Not saying they did. No, not saying they did.
No,
but if you wanted to clean it, if you wanted to clean everything up, especially with them not bringing the leader in for Captain America 4, it's like there's some way you have to be cleaning this up, and I can't just take, oh yeah, I was a completely different guy back then.
Even though that was fire, I like the way they did that.
Here's the thing. Number one, I applaud your reach, Will. If there's nothing else I can do, I gotta give you credit on that reach. But just like Dion said, that was 10 years. Now, what we would love to, what Deuces' point is, we would love for them to wrap up everything and fix and acknowledge their right and wrongs, acknowledge the casting change like you did with the Hulk for Terrence Howard and for Edward Norton. But I even think Sam Jackson is a Skrull in this movie. Like when you look at the trailer, I was like, okay, he takes the eye patch off. All right, are we dealing with the real one right now, or the guy who was at the very end of the trailer with the eye patch? It's like, which one is which? That's one I was thinking. Two, I do believe people that we wouldn't have thought were Skrulls, but I don't think any of the main people are Skrulls, because the best person to be able to have been a Skrull would be Natasha Romanoff. And we know that Scarlett Johansson is done with the role. But if she was a Skrull, it would make the perfect sense because, okay, Clint sacrificed, she acted as her to be sacrificed, whereas she could have been gone in the blip.
True.
You know what I mean? Like that's a plot point that I think Feige would show compared to, Iron Man ain't dead. He was a Skrull. It's like, okay.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah. Robert Downey can come back.
So when do you think the switch happened with Samuel L. Jackson?
Because I think he actually got killed in Civil War.
No, I think it happened after the events of in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And one of the things, and me going down, that's part of it. But here's the thing: going back into like way back, like in I think it was Captain Marvel where he referenced that he can't eat triangles. But then you see a scene where he's actually eating a sandwich in triangles, and it's like, if that's what was something that Nick Fury stood on, then that was obviously a Skrull when he was eating that sandwich that way. So, like I said, we deep in the theory bag, but
this series did say that it was going to be a crossover type series, so he may have a point to that, Shield thing as well. My theory is,
in Agents of Shield, he told Coulson. He said, he said something like, I'm always around, but when he said he was going to do his departure or something of that nature, like the way he worded it, I wish I had it verbatim, but the way he worded it, it sounded like he was leaving, but he's always still going to be around. And, so it's like, I feel like that was that moment where he actually went into space to do whatever he's doing. And he made that deal with the Skrull.
I feel like Nick Fury is dead, has always been a Skrull, and the way Secret Invasion is going to end is another Nick Fury is going to come out. He's going to take off his Samuel Jackson mask, and it's going to be the white version.
Oh, no, it's going to be David Hasselhoff again.
It's going to be David Hasselhoff. And he put his patch back on. Let's get to work. That's the invasion.
Not the Hulk.
I don't know, man. It's just like, I feel like because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they're not going to acknowledge anything from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They realize that was a mistake, and they're going to let that be.
That's what I thought until they showed Black Bolt. And Black Bolt being Black Bolt from the actual Inhuman series. So that is sitting
Inhuman series.
But that also tied in with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's how
it was a spinoff. But
so Shield is somewhere in this multiverse.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Here's how I would give y'all that. This is why I can't give it to you, because the first thing that they did on episode 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was brought back Coulson.
Yep.
Then down the line they admitted he was a robot or something, or a clone,
robot, something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like,
so if that's the case, we've had over a decade to bring Coulson back in any of the films, and they have not. So to let that go, they showed that they're not acknowledging Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. outside of outside of Agent Carter being Captain Britain in the alternate universe. I'll give you Black Bolt, even though this is how much the audience didn't give a fuck. When they showed Black Bolt in Doctor Strange, everybody was like, "Oh, who's this guy?"
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, because what I told y'all, what I said to y'all, I was like, I thought that was a Mexican dude.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So,
which also, we're not even gonna talk about how horribly they butchered Black Bolt. He said a whole sentence and the entire universe didn't explode. So that was ridiculous.
I'm
sorry. The fact that he would have, from what I understand about Black Bolt, is him saying, that would destroy a planet.
Yeah. Y'all ain't close proximity from him, too.
Yeah.
Y'all was kind of like,
they're right next to him.
It's supposed to be like that Bose commercial. Remember that old Bose commercial when you sit in front of the speakers and you like this?
That's how it's supposed to go down. Yeah.
So what's up with? Okay, so we saw Secret Invasion. That will lead to a whole bunch of surprises. But what is the casting news for Fantastic Four, bro? Because that when y'all posted that, they posted a picture in the group chat of Fantastic Four's casting, and one of you guys like, oh, this might be fake though. And I'm like, how do you fake that? Like, it looked like people were looking at it.
They did. Yeah. They very much faked it. And me being somebody that used Photoshop often, it was Photoshop, but it was a great Photoshop because I believe they were correct about the director that's going to be in Fantastic Four, and that's what Kevin Feige did announce, but he has not announced anything to do with the Fantastic Four casting, anything from Dr. Doom or any of the actual Fantastic Four. Now the only one we do know is I forget her name at the moment, but it was the woman that played in Ryan Reynolds' Free Guy, the one that he was in love with. She is the one that they say is closest in line to be cast as Sue Storm. Because because the thing is, from what I read was they're trying to bounce this two different ways. Either Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm are going to be big names, while the Thing and Torch are no names, or they're going to flip it to where Torch and Thing are big names and Sue and Fantastic are newcomers. So they're trying to find that balance within the two of them, but they haven't decided on which way that they're going to go.
Here's the thing. If anybody other than Krasinski is Mr. Fantastic, I don't even think Feige would do that because he knows that it was fan casting to make him Mr. Fantastic in the first place. And to see how people reacted to it, he wouldn't bite himself in the ass and cast somebody else. I hope.
Yeah. I hope not either.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want them to keep having so many people have different variants of themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do want some that's just like, yo, this is the solid Fantastic Four person throughout the multiverse, like they were doing Strange. We only ran into his versions.
Right. It wasn't like we saw. First of all, we're not even gonna talk about how much of a we expected madness in the multiverse. We didn't expect what they gave us. So anyway,
multiverse of mildness is
man, it was so mild. But when we look at the casting choices, I do love that when we saw Captain Britain, it was like, okay, cool. This is actually Agent Peggy Carter that we know in our universe, and this happens to be comic book lore. When we saw Rambeau being Captain Marvel, that also makes sense because we know that character was supposed to be Captain Marvel in our universe. So these things fit, right? Yeah. So I don't want to see a variant be so completely different than the person that we've already been have been familiar with be the hero.
Yeah.
Like, don't show me. I would have loved to see Tom Cruise, and they said they reached out to him, but scheduling didn't make sense. But if you were to show me Hammer, what was his name? Ethan Hammer, not Ethan Hammer. Sam Rockwell.
Oh,
right? Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
If you would have showed me him as Iron Man and another variant, I'd have been like, come on, man. Now y'all reaching too far, even though he read for the role of Iron Man. Like, I get why it would have been dope, but it wouldn't have been because we're like, come on, man, don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, because that's because the idea was floated around that like the people who tested for these roles that didn't get the role would show up as a variant, and that would have been like a really dope nod. They'd be like, oh snap, like we can see how that person would have looked into it. Anybody else, like, it's not going to have the same oomph because we haven't been like with what the MCU has successfully did is they turned everybody into deep divers, conspiracy theorists. Like, we pick apart everything to the point now where it's like it's kind of like, dang, like you kind of painted yourself in this corner, like, all right, well, now we got what people love, and then now people fell in love with these theories, and it's like, so we can really we can pull from that, or we can do something completely different. But then it's like, if you do something completely different, it loses its like oomph. Like, it's like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool, but like, it would have been really dope if you would have gave us this. And so it's kind of a weird space that they're in with those fan castings.
Yeah.
But so we're gonna see what they do when it comes to Fantastic Four. I think it's smart to take their time with it, like Kevin Feige is doing, because of the simple fact that in all perspective, you've had 2 flops when it comes to Fantastic Four. Like the first one, we you somewhat enjoyed. Then you butchered the second one. Then you rebooted it, and that one just didn't come together well. So it's like now everyone's looking at this one, and Fantastic Four does play such a vital role in everything that's coming up that you have to play this right and get people that's going to be able to help you walk through the next decade playing these characters. So I'm glad that they're taking their time.
I don't know if we discussed this, but how we decided from us, the 4 of us, how we gonna add the X-Men or the Fantastic Four now that we already have a 15+ year universe. How do you add those mutants into the all of a sudden? Because they have history, they have childhood. You know, we talk about Professor Xavier. You know, him as a child. You know, Magneto as a child. Like that's important to the origin,
right?
Yeah. So should we just bring them from another universe?
I think this is going to be a classification thing. So I believe they slow rolled us with Miss Marvel, where the guy was telling her like, "Hey, you're something different. It's like a mutation." And I believe, but especially with what we've been getting in She-Hulk, and I know we haven't talked about it yet, and we're going to talk about when it's done. But I believe that they're going to jump right into the Anti-Mutant Act, right? Where they're going to say what's going to end up happening is the government's going to get involved and say, we've been calling everybody superpower beings, but no, there's actually mutants as well, and they're going to start classifying what's a mutant, what's a superpower being, and they're going to go straight into all mutants need to have the what's the thing? I can't think of it. The inhibitor. They got to have the inhibitor so they can't turn. Like I believe that's like what She-Hulk is setting up the groundwork for the government to say, oh yeah, that's a good idea. We need to do that for everybody that we classify as mutants. And so that way they don't have to go back into an origin where these mutants came from. It's like, oh, we've been just calling everybody superpower beings, but now we know what this is superpower. This is a mutant, and that's what's going to start that.
And I think too, they may roll out kind of like how they've been throwing out little clues. Like I know, again, like how Deuce said, we are going to try to save most of what we can about She-Hulk for when it ends. But one of the little like clues they gave was her being on the computer, and as a side article, it showed a guy with claws fighting in a bar. I think we might get those same things like with the Mutant Registration Act as like background tertiary clues. So there might be one word like say, appreciate it. So like we might be watching an episode of She-Hulk where she's passing by television, and then one of the anchors are talking about, we now go to a somewhat of a specialist on this new mutation, Charles Xavier. And so you don't see him, but you hear them say that, or you see it on like the little ticker tape and stuff like that.
Hey, the news articles be giving us.
Yeah, and it starts to introduce you like, okay, so there is a Charles Xavier here, and what has he been doing? So if that's there, then that means there's a Magneto here, which also brings me to my other hear me out. What if the Quicksilver we saw in the MCU was never real?
Keep talking.
What if Wanda had made him up that entire time?
Oh boy.
Ooh. That'd be wild.
So imagine if he did. Yeah, he didn't survive the blow up. It's just her. And notice if you see WandaVision, they don't show him. We know for obvious reasons and stuff like that. Yeah. But they could have shown him. And we see times now where it looks more like she went through all this. And as a trigger, she used that as a coping mechanism. Another thing that brings me as to why Evan Peters is there. Now, again, like how we were talking about a while back, I feel like nothing is coincidence. I think Charles Boner, the person they put in there, I think that actually is her sibling, and they were separated at birth. And I think his powers haven't been activated yet. And another reason that tells me that is because how did he get the classic costume is from the dreams from his other variant, which is the Quicksilver from Fox.
Jesus Christ. It's a lot to unpack.
That's an actual
one. To go back to your point about Wolverine, I just looked up the Easter egg. Did not notice that
Oh, yeah.
And wow. So
Yeah.
You see the hand too?
with metal
See the other
claws.
I think when that
see the other
episode
one?
dropped, that's when Will Pharaoh said, "Hey, are we going to talk
Are
about
we
this?"
talking about
They also said, why is it a man hanging out the
Yeah, they
A
said,
giant statue. I was like,
yes!
finally.
yeah.
Finally. Because nobody's talked about the fucking statue.
That is terrifying, yo.
Extremely.
Oh, bro.
So that, but because of both of those, like how they did it in Miss Marvel and in She-Hulk, that's how I believe that it's not going to be like a big thing. Like, oh, mutants are here now. It's going to be more, because to me that's more realistic as well too. Where the government, where they figure out like, all right, we need to do something and we need to govern these things. And I believe that, like I said, it's going to Bruce and and She-Hulk, they're going to feel bad because it's really their tech and their idea, that's going to cause this racism towards mutants. And it's I think like I said, we'll get into that with the She-Hulk, but like that, I feel like this series is setting up everything.
Speaking of which, Wolverine, first of all, speaking of which, shout out to Hugh Jackman being an amazing actor.
Yes.
If you look back at clips of him as Wolverine, he looks nothing like him. Like, I'm not even talking about height, hair, nothing. I'm like, this was not a good casting, but it was he did great with the role.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we can't picture nobody else though. I mean,
you can. Tom Hardy is always going to be my guy for Wolverine.
Tom Hardy, yeah. He shouldn't have been Venom. That's what he should have been.
Venom. He should have been Wolverine. That was because you know what I always think about is the part I always want to see they don't never show when Wolverine be trying to pull Jean from Cyclops. Like I want to see that shit. But now picture Tom Hardy doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then looking at Cyclops, you want to go, bub.
You know what? When we talk about missed out castings, bro, I always said this. I said this since I was a little boy. Jack Nicholson would have been an incredible Wolverine. And like if you just look at face, he looks like Wolverine. A young Jack Nicholson, if they would have done him as Wolverine back then, fire.
That would have been dope.
It would have been, but we know the storyteller would have been good.
Young Jack Nicholson, that'd have been dope.
Yeah.
With sideburns, that would have been
because he looks like him.
Mutton chops, yeah.
I thought that as a kid. I'm like, man, how come he don't play Wolverine? But then you realize that even as a child, we were 15 years away from an X-Men movie, and he was already old when he played the Joker.
Yeah. So like you said, that is something we missed out on. So another thing that they did drop was a little bit more footage from Wakanda Forever that's coming out this month.
This month?
Oh no, I'm sorry, November. I'm so sorry.
I was gonna say, sheesh.
I'm thinking we in November.
I can't think of his name, but I think it'd be a good Wolverine. He don't look nothing like him, but short and yoked, and it can fight. The main character that's on the Kingsman.
I knew you were gonna say that. His name is Taron Egerton.
Yeah, I was about to say Tiger.
I like him.
Yeah, I saw him on the Emmys last night, and I was like, oh man, he has the build for it. But have we ever seen him do an American accent?
Yes.
When?
He has a show right now. He's in prison right now. He does like his Boston accent. I can't think of the name of it, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he did anything with an American accent.
I mean, but here's the question: what accent are we supposed to be going for? Because ain't he supposed to be Canadian?
He is.
Hey, bub. Yeah.
Hey, bub, don't you know? I got.
He's never said don't you know.
Here, y'all.
Hey, adding the "don't you know" takes away all the fearsome of Wolverine.
Don't you know?
You're like you get scared, and as soon as you hear the "don't you know," you're like, "Come on, bro."
Don't you know?
You put them little claws away, but you want a drink.
You want a drink.
Get my man a pint of beer, man.
It would be easier to go through. So the only problem with the mutants having existed so long without us knowing would be Professor Xavier and Magneto. You can get around everybody else, but you can't get around those two.
You could get around Xavier because of the fact of him just being a specialist and it never really being brought up in public like that.
Okay,
that's where you can get with him. Magneto. Oh, go ahead, Dion, because you see like you got a good
one. What if Professor Xavier gets sick and then his powers gets turned off, and now he's been hiding the mutants this whole time, so they're not being visual to like they're being exposed. When he gets sick, his powers goes down, and now they are been here this whole time like Skrulls.
That makes sense, except now you're going to introduce a sick Professor X.
No. I mean temporary, as in like he gets knocked out into a coma or something. He just, he'll be back at the end of the episode or whatever. But
something that could go like that is if he was caught. If he got caught and they were experimenting on him and something like that happened. Now, another way I go with it is rather than them forgetting, what if he's the one that's holding all of them from keeping their X gene dormant? And then when he does let his stuff down, everybody now has their X gene activated. So instead of
protect this entire
I
was like I was a mutant. He was trying to
because it's like it's the same thing like how they did with Doctor Strange, but rather than them forgetting that mutants exist, it's just like like you forget like that your power is dormant. And so because remember like how they did with Deadpool, like you have to try to activate their powers. That's how the X gene work. If it doesn't automatically turn on, you have to put them through harsh conditions in order for it to activate.
Yeah. Because Professor Xavier, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm trying to remember, he does hide the school at some point, right? Like where he hides it from. So like he could, and do we have a Stryker in the MCU already? Like I'm getting the MCU.
No. The only ones we've had is like General Ross and them. That's it.
Okay, because I was going to say to kind of go a little bit on what Dion was saying. If he was being experimented on by Stryker, then that could be where it's like, he's being forced to hide all mutants until whatever experiment breaks free or whatever. But that is those are the two people that is like it's hard because like I said with Xavier, like I said, his whole thing is about saying, hey, we are here, but we're not a threat, versus Magneto, who's like fuck the government. So it's like, what was they doing? He
could be in jail though. Magneto could be in jail because like even like his acts and what he did could be covered up and hidden and stuff like that. And that could be something that either S.H.I.E.L.D. reveals or the Thunderbolts actually revealed.
Ooh, I just got chills.
What's her face? They could be the ones that like we see, or She-Hulk. She-Hulk finds that out and stuff like that. It's like, they've been having this person who's been kept underground, just like how they did in Fox, and they come to find out it's Magneto. And they, and again, they ain't even got to say it just yet. It's just like, okay, who is it? It's a guy with special abilities who can control metal, and then that's it.
Here's the issue that I have, completely random, but before the topic we just got into, Edward Norton was really an Incredible Hulk, and here's my problem: if the fact that he was such a great Incredible Hulk. Okay, here's what happened with Spider-Man. We know that Sony owns Spider-Man. They found a way to make a deal with Marvel for Marvel to have Spider-Man in their films and vice versa. Universal apparently had the exact same deal with Marvel for that first Incredible Hulk film. So just because you changed character actors of Edward Norton to Mark Ruffalo, why wouldn't that same deal exist? To where you could still do more Incredible Hulk movies. I've heard they say we can't do it because we don't have the permission of Universal. But it's like, where did that deal go just because you switch actors?
CT.
Yeah.
You just blew my mind.
Thank you.
What if Mark Ruffalo is a Skrull?
Oh, shit.
Thank you, my brother.
Mark Ruffalo is a Skrull.
You know why that doesn't work? Because She-Hulk exists now. So if his blood wouldn't have got in her,
damn it, you right.
She wouldn't have.
Hey, if I was Universal, let me tell you what I'll do. I hire Edward Norton to get it and do another Incredible Hulk. Just fuck up people and be like, yo, what you doing? Hey, I still own Incredible Hulk. Let's talk about when he became Red Hulk. It's like, yo, you're fucking up
and as an Easter egg at the end of that movie, you see Edward Norton sitting down and they trying to work on the fourth one, and here come Eric Bana be like, hey man, look, you can put me back in too. All right. Look, this how this could work.
That's how horrible That's how horrible the Eric Bana movie was. Nobody even mentions him as far as the Hulk actors. They're like Edward Norton, Mark Ruffalo, Lou Ferrigno.
Right.
The 90s cartoon.
90s cartoon. Lou Ferrigno.
I blame Circuit City for my hate for that movie because it was on their demo disc, and that's when I used to work at Circuit City, and they used to play it over and over and over, and I just picked it apart so much, I end up hating that movie. Like,
I'll tell you what,
like Dragon Ball Evolution territory.
The game was fire. The Incredible Hulk video game that was based on Edward Norton, incredible. No pun intended.
I don't know who was making good one, by the way. I don't know who was making video games for movies back then within like that 10 years, but yo, they were on it because even like Wolverine Origins, the movie was trash, but that video game was
incredible. I had it on PC.
All those like I remember Batman Begins, the movie game was incredible. That game was so incredible. By the time Arkham Knight came out, I was like, is this gonna be good? Because the movie version of the game was way better. And then I played it. I'm like, okay, this is good. But those straight to, and then this is one that was really bad. Iron Man, the movie video game, was horrible because of the flight mechanics. Now, that's one thing. A lot of people give Marvel's Avengers on a PlayStation a horrible name. I play it every day. But that game,
I'm on it now. Just so you
something
know,
that they did perfectly was the flight mechanics. Like you can fly, and it's so believable the way it goes. Like easy to learn.
Which is why we always will say when we talk about those games, you need to make a fucking Superman game. All right,
Facts.
Need to make one. Stop playing.
But can we point out the best X-Men game was Clone Wars from Sega Genesis though? Come on, man!
You ain't finna hear me disagree.
Wait, I agree with you. I don't recall it being called Clone Wars. I thought it was just X-Men on Sega Genesis.
No, X-Men Clone Wars. It was X-Men 2 when they were literally fighting each other.
Yep. Now another one though too is Mutant Academy, the fighting game they had. Oh yeah, no, if y'all ain't played that, they had X-Men had a whole fighting game like Mortal Kombat called Mutant Academy.
What was the budget for video games back in the 90s? Because I feel like a million games came out that were amazing and none of us knew anything about it. But nowadays we know every single, like if you name a game, even if I don't play it, I've heard of it.
I've heard of it, yeah.
You know what I mean? But the 90s were making so many more.
I think it was part of the budget. I think like if you have a blockbuster movie, you get a video game. Because like a sleeper video game that I love was Terminator 2. Because that first opening scene in it, like it's the car chase and you run. Like I used to love that game, but like that's every movie that was a blockbuster. Matter of fact, it wasn't even exclusive to blockbusters. I feel like that was just the model. It was like
it was like a whole package.
McDonald's or Burger King. Now you get a video game.
Remember, you get a whole package with it back in the 90s. Like when Jumanji came out, you got a video game, you had the McDonald's run, the toy run, they had a TV show, everything. Same thing with Men in Black, and like it was like a whole thing where it's like when it rolled out on every way for you to go see it when they knew it was gonna be a hit.
Yeah. That's a fact. The budget was crazy. But like video games, man, there were so many. Like the games that y'all just named for Sega, I'm like, I didn't even know that existed. But I had games like Eternal Champions, Superman Doomsday. I had Strider, which was freaking incredible that nobody heard of. It was like all these things. And I'm like, X-Men had a game like that? And they're like, yeah, several. So when PlayStation came out, I started hearing about all these different games because, it's a different kind of animal. But anyway, what's next?
I will answer to that though. It was Blockbuster that really kept us on all of that stuff because that's what had everything lined up for you to see. Like, I ain't never seen this game and got to go try it if it didn't come out on the demo. So that's
and you had a week, and you had a week to beat it because you had to turn it back within a week. So, like I said, I feel like Blockbuster, the death of Blockbuster has stopped the diversity in video games that you play. Because you would go to Blockbuster and you will try something for a week. And because you only got that week, you're like, all right, I'm going to put in mad hours to try to beat this within this week. And I was like, I completed so many random games that I'm like, why did I play that game? It's because I got it from Blockbuster. I had a week to beat it, and then I went and got something else the next week.
Can you think about the person who came up, bro? Like, think about 2008 or 9. and the person that went to Blockbuster and rented, because towards the thick of it, you could rent a whole system. Like if you didn't have a system, you could rent a system. So think about the person who rented a system, rented like 6 or 7 games, got like 8 or 9 DVDs, and then Blockbuster went out of business. And you never had to return it.
They telling that story to this day. They like, anytime let me tell you about my come up in 2009.
So let me definitely give y'all the answer for that, because I used to work at Blockbuster.
I was that nigga.
I used to work at Blockbuster. That's definitely. Now I will say they stopped, depending on if it wasn't like a privately owned Blockbuster. Blockbuster didn't do systems no more. Matter of fact, the only way you could do it was you actually had to go to the website if you wanted to rent it, but it was like a whole process that basically made you not want to do it. Like you just basically needed to go buy and rent out a machine yourself or buy one.
But remember those last days though? It was like, hey, we get rid of movies, $2.
Yo, that's all just bro.
2 lives.
When I tell you, taking inventory and having to spend the entire night shifting one disc from their old DVD case, their new DVD case, to the old one with the little yellow latch on there, so you can sit them in these bins that were like 3 for $4.99, 5 for $15.99, and it was all. I'll never forget A History of Violence, King Kong, The Gospel with Shamar Moore, Medea Goes to Jail. All of those just big ass stacks in a whole.
Don't even go
case.
together.
They don't even go together, but they just like people like, yo, you can get all these 4 for $3.99. Because we had to get rid of everything. And when I tell you, I got 4 booklets of DVDs over here from that sale.
Booklets.
Yeah, buddy.
I got as much as I could, man. But
yeah, buddy.
Just to hop back into the Marvel stuff, some things were big news. A lot of things were kind of just like, continuations. Like we said a little bit earlier, they did show Wakanda Forever. They extended the scene of Angela Bassett talking at the press conference and stuff, and just really kind of answering the questions of just really showing them that, like, hey, yeah, we may have lost Black Panther, we may have lost my husband, but like, don't get it twisted. Just because we don't have those, don't think you can just run up in here and take our shit. We still a strong front. So that's basically what she was trying to make sure like everyone got across, and that was the scene that they showed. But I don't want to jump too much into it because, like I said, don't want to give too many details away. But it does seem like there's going to be a great story in Wakanda Forever based off of just Wakanda itself, and not even talking about Namor and what he's bringing. They showed a little bit of Ironheart as well. They also displayed like her new suit and what she'll be going through. They say it's actually a lot darker than what we're going to be like normally accustomed to. Like this island, you're gonna like Ironheart is supposed to be like you're gonna really see like how she gets everything. So that was great. Same thing with Ant-Man Quantumania. Now that one, they may have given a little bit of something away. They extended the conversation of the trailer that they shown at the previous presentation. They extended the scene a little bit of Kang and Ant-Man talking. And so what it kind of revealed is that this may go back into classic Ant-Man style. This may actually be a heist movie inside the quantum realm, because it appears as if someone has stolen something from this version of Kang that we're going to see in this movie. And for what they're saying, it might be that he may be recruiting Ant-Man to play, as how he moves these pieces to get back what was taken from him.
I love a heist movie, and I feel like that's where Ant-Man 2. Here's the thing: when you gotta stick with who brought you to the party. Right. Yeah. So Ant-Man 1 was so great because it was a heist movie. Yes. It was like, this is incredible. I never would have thought to even see this, because I was expecting, a traditional origin story of a superhero. And this wasn't an origin story of a superhero. This is the origin story of this particular man getting this suit, because the original Ant-Man is the one who gave it to him. So part 2 was, we have family drama, we have to do this, and it's like, it's not really what I wanted. So if you're telling me that part 3 is a heist movie, now you're getting right back into what made me fall in love with.
Let's talk about the best heist though.
What's that?
Thanos Infinity War.
Oh, man,
that was his movie. That was his
heist movie for real. Yo, imagine if that was shot like Ocean's 11.
And if you look at him as the protagonist, and he had a bunch of haters trying to stop him, like, yo,
Yeah.
you understand? I have a plan here.
Right. But just imagine him holding the hammer from Thor. You want to know how I got all of them? Here it was. He'd slide these things.
Here it was. That's why that movie was so dope. If you start looking at Infinity War as the origin story of Thanos and that he's the hero, it's an incredible movie.
Incredible.
Oh yeah, incredible.
Anyway, it's still incredible.
Yeah, because he won.
He
Like,
was like, hey, I have a plan, and I saw it.
Like, let's not really forget. Endgame is a 2-hour movie about how white people cheating to take their win back. They lost that. That's what that is.
Hey, you had to bend reality laws to win. That's how bad y'all lost.
Be like, talk about you gonna go back in time after I won already? That ain't fair.
Back in time.
Y'all ain't right for that.
Yo, can I tell y'all when Thor threw that Stormbreaker, it hit him, and I was like, yes! And I was standing up. He's like, you should have went for it. I was like, no! I remember all over again. I was like, yes! That's what I'm talking about.
Everybody. That's when you watch Infinity War and Endgame, what makes that 1-2 so dope is that they showed us a threat. They made us think that we was going to win. Then they made us think that we won. And then immediately they said, and you were like, it's like, even when like I said, that moment that Dion had, everybody had it because we was like, yes, he got the shot. And then when he said you should have went for the head, we was like, oh no!
They hit that hand. They hit the hand the whole time. He was doing like,
yeah.
Like,
See me. I was very upset because I was like, you know what? A black Thor would have hit him in the head. Black Thor would have hit him square in the head first. Fuck this. I ain't taking no chances. I'm going straight for your head.
Man.
You did it the white way.
But he did throw it from like 300 feet away. So
he did. Hey, that was actually some clean accuracy though. If you like from how far he threw it away, but the silence that went across the theater at that moment was it was so quiet. It sounded like it was in a silence room.
And nothing was happening at that time either for like a good 30 seconds. You was like,
yeah,
yo, what just happened?
And we in our hands, we trying to figure out how to undo it. We like, Dr. Strange can undo it. No, he can't.
No, he can't.
It's like, the Hulk! Come on, the Hulk! Help!
Come on, the Hulk!
Yo, and then you start feeling bad because you was like, oh man, they done got Winter Soldier. No, not Rocket. No, man, don't do no Rocket like that, man. Come on.
Oh man,
don't do it like that.
I'm sweating all over again. I'm getting anxiety all over again, man.
Yo,
and we had to wait. We had to wait a whole year.
Yo, because how it went off too, because it was just like he just sat down, looked off, and it just went off. I was like, oh, I know that they did in this movie. Oh, I know y'all didn't just leave us. Like, I know you just didn't put these Russos.
And he did a backflip in the portal. He did a backflip in the portal, like, nigga.
He did the CT.
Man.
But yo, hey, real shit. He knew he did it because he low key hit a fist bump. He didn't even click it. He said,
Bro, that shit hurt because they didn't show no Easter egg. They didn't show no final trailer. They said, bro, get out.
It just went.
The theater I was at, they turned the lights on right at when
wow.
They was fully invested in that theater, and I was just like, you got to see everybody just sit there like.
Bro, they treated us like $2 hookers. Took us on a ride and said, "Get out,
get out,
get out."
But I know we're moving it on because I do want to talk about the Thunderbolts because Feige has confirmed that the Avengers are officially disassembled.
Yeah,
and then the Thunderbolts is the team that that's the rocking team right now.
Yeah.
How y'all feel about that?
That hurts, man. To know that the Avengers are done. And I also hate how Feige just says stuff like we all knew. Like since the Avengers are done. We're like, what? But you said you said there's 2 more movies coming. No, they're done.
You just named this shit Avengers Secret. Who these Avengers you talking about?
Done. Then to see the fact that first, all the Avengers are done. When we see Thunderbolts, if you look at that poster, bro, respect to all the actors. That shit looked like a TV movie, bro.
Yo, look, you saw what I wrote.
I thought it was just
I wrote. He already saw what I wrote. This is Marvel's Expendables.
This is their Expendables for sure.
Or the DC Legends of Tomorrow. That's what this is.
That's what this
tie
is.
in all the people. They gotta tie in all the people that's still alive, man. I get it.
No, because bringing in Ghost from Ant-Man, that character wasn't even a strong villain. Then you're gonna bring in female Taskmaster, which also wasn't a strong villain. And then you show us Julia Louis-Dreyfus at the end, like she's this massive character. It's like, oh, this is about to be some bullshit.
Then first off, that artwork didn't look nothing like her, because I was like, who is this woman on the right side? And where is Abomination?
Nowhere to be found.
There's only 3 characters that I'm excited for in this whole. It's like, of course, it's Winter Soldier. Like I said,
U.S. Agent.
Yeah, U.S. Agent, and then Wanda's sister. Not Wanda's sister. Natasha's sister.
Yelena.
Yelena. Those are the only 3 that
Yelena and Captain. Well, you know what?
I'm ready for Red Guardian.
I'm ready for Red Guardian. Red Guardian, Black Widow's sister, and Winter Soldier are the only 3 that are going to do anything.
You don't care about U.S. Agent?
No, because I didn't care about him on the TV show, and he looked like a TV villain.
He did.
I did. Just because of the dynamics of what he was, and like how he was. Like I just knew that he had way more savagery in him. And so
is this Marvel's Suicide Squad?
Yes.
I would say that. Even
set it up.
Well, not even I would say like Legends of Tomorrow, because we don't know if they're making them good guys or if they're doing like, the bad. Like if they're like Peacemaker. Peacemaker is technically somewhat a good guy. He just killed people.
Well, this is what I'm interested in, is the Winter Soldier story arc a lot, because it's like you went from being like in the underbelly and being used to do, some really devious shit, and then you had your redemption. And now you trying to get back to not being seen as the Winter Soldier, but now you with this ragtag of people who's going to be doing some more shit.
It's because he a Wallenstein. That's why. I ain't worried about him no more. And then 2, that's the story of all of them. He'd be like, "Yo, I was brainwashed into doing the shit I done." Yelena. I mean, well, I was chemically imbalanced to do shit that I wasn't wanting to do. Same thing for me over here as Red Guardian. If my daddy experiment on me blew me up. Now I just be shape-shifted through space now. And last time I checked, this chick got blown up for being this guy's daddy, and then they put a chip in his head. So you ain't really bringing nothing to the table that got me just feeling like you a thought. You still want to be in the game.
Because I feel like that. Like I feel like him.
Are they gonna tie in General Thaddeus?
Well, I think. Wait, are you talking about Ross, General Ross?
Are they gonna tie in? I know he's dead in real life. But how is named after him? Like, how would they add him?
I think they would just say, like, they would mention that they're gonna name it after him and just say, like, we're calling this this, like how they did, like what did they call it? Like this what did they call it? This group, the Thunderbolts, named after him and stuff. I think they'll acknowledge him like that, because he was technically supposed to be Red Hulk, and so I don't know if they're gonna replace him or if they just gonna honor him like that, kind of like how they doing T'Challa.
I feel like they should recast that, because Red Hulk is such a great character, but also we never saw him turn into the Hulk. Like that would have been the perfect time to show it.
He can do it off camera, and they'd be the reason the people that take him down.
That's why you can't do it like that, because then you're turning into Suicide Squad territory, Suicide Squad 1, and which is why it bombed so bad. They're assuming the audience having to had seen so many things off camera that it just makes sense to us when we see it on camera. So if he was going to be Red Hulk, you need to show that transformation, show it in She-Hulk, if that's the case, and then have him fight her, and Bruce helps out, but she's the one who delivers the final blow. He's arrested. Now Thunderbolts comes out. Red Hulk.
Yep.
But I doubt that will happen, because that makes too much sense.
Right. But then also too, if it's even needed, that's the thing too. Like if it's really even needed, especially how they're going about it in the MCU. But for them, it's like, even with Thunderbolts, this is a very easy equation. Like, keep it just like the Suicide Squad, how they did the remake with James Gunn. lot of action, a lot of fun, and just leave it like that. Like, you don't need to try to make the Thunderbolts the new Avengers, because we know that's not who they are
at all.
I would love to hear. I would love to see the original script to Black Panther before Chadwick Boseman died. What would have been? I'm saying, like, would have been a different villain? Would have been a different storyline? Like, because I'm sure that changed a lot of the MCU. Release that. I mean, when the movie comes out, of course, release the original script.
They ain't gonna do no original script to give you anything they can. Because they're gonna give you anything to compare that movie to like it or dislike it.
Yeah, because then that's what you fighting against, and then two, you risk it going. We would have rather had this than go see this. Yeah. But if they wanted to give, like, if Ryan Coogler wanted to give us like a little byline of what it might have been about, I would take that. To just give us a little bit of that. But it's hard.
They definitely did that with Doctor Strange. They had said they had killed what's the black sidekick dude in this universe?
Oh, and Black. Oh, you talking about Benedict Cumberbatch? I mean, not Benedict Cumberbatch. Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah, they killed him in the original MCU, and when they showed that little apple box, his head was
what?
In it. Yeah. He said they filmed it too.
So Mordor is dead in
this MCU. Yeah.
How?
When that happened?
That's what they said. They had said in the very beginning, Wanda, Mordor had found Wanda, and he killed her and chopped his head off. And then he said, "Where is Strange?" And then it went to the original opening. And then when they showed that little apple box, if you go back and watch it, they showed that little apple box on the ground. His head was in that.
Oh, you saying that's a deleted scene?
Yeah, it's not in it at all. But you know the reason? Remember when she dropped those sticks in that apple box? And just randomly it showed that his head was in that. They kept that shot in there.
You gotta show me this, man. Send this to the group.
Oh, you talking about when they walking through the orchard?
Yeah. And they just randomly show her dropping some sticks.
Yeah, I remember she did the sticks.
And they locked it on it for a long time. His head was in there.
So she killed him already.
Yeah, in this universe, of course. But I don't know if they're gonna keep him alive now because they never showed it. But that was the original opening.
Well, now
I mean, he was searching for sorcerers. He said in the first one, he's like, "I'm tired of all these sorcerers. They got too much power." He was hunting her down.
Well, you know what? That now makes sense though too, because the way Strange talked about him when he saw the other one, it kind of made it seem like he wasn't there anymore, like he wasn't a threat anymore.
Well, I don't think he knew that his friend was dead.
Also, well, no, remember, they're not friends, they enemies. Like, he kept saying, like, he kept trying to kill me, but he kept talking to him like it was past tense.
Okay.
So like I said though, he might have saw that and acknowledged it. I'm not sure though, but I'm like, that's crazy though. But it's like the same thing they said with Thor. Remember they said Gore killed Jeff Goldblum's character, and they didn't show that on here.
Mm-hmm.
But he said they shot that of him killing him.
I would hate that, man. I'm in that new Thor, man. I'm in the You should check me out, man. I got this dope ass scene with Christian Bale.
Hey, but that's what they said. The way that they shoot, they don't shoot in order. Like, you may come in thinking that you're gonna shoot for Strange, and the next thing you know, you in the Kang Dynasty. You're like, wait a minute, I thought I shot that for Thor. Like,
I shot this 8 years ago. Wait a minute, I didn't know I was in this. You're like, why y'all didn't tell me you was in Secret Wars? I am.
Could you imagine though, being cast in the MCU and you holding it back, you don't want to tell nobody, but they cut your whole scene, and now you that nigga that's on podcast like, yeah, man, I was originally, I had Thanos in the headlock, the first scene.
Well, I stood in front of Spider-Man and you know everybody else and took the blow from Kang, and then that's when they was able to fight back. But you know, apparently they took that out. You know, but they also did, like we said, they revealed on top of that at D23 new logo of Armor Wars. Don Cheadle spoke on it a little bit and stuff like that. Not too much of like any real like new detail, just only that they are moving forward with it. As we did discuss in a couple of previous episodes. Wasn't sure if Armor Wars was still happening, but it seems like they are moving forward with that, as well as Loki 2. Loki 2 has already started shooting. They showed a few clips of it, just picking up where they left off in season 2. And then I believe, I always forget his name, but the kid, the Asian kid from Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that's enough. And Goonies.
Yes, Goonies. Yes, and
Goonies,
Everything Everywhere. In that one too. He's now cast in the Loki season 2, so that's gonna always be like cool.
Oh, great!
Cool actor. Yeah,
I wonder who he's gonna be.
He's supposed to be a TVA, not analyst, but something else that's like in a position in the TVA.
Here's what's interesting about Loki. It's like, I wonder what role, if any, he's going to play at all outside of his world, because he's the one who introduced Kang to us. So is he going to have any interaction with any of the existing Avengers who would know who he is? One. Two, it's like, is he going to have, because he hasn't had any appearances in anything since he got, his life back in his Loki series.
But right now, 616, everybody in 616 assumes that he's still dead. So that's going to be like, if he pops back up to one of the people who knew him before then, it's going to be a shocker, because that may be, he will be the first person that they've seen died and come back, if I'm not mistaken.
Technically, but also too, depending on where he falls in at. Because think about it, he disappeared in 2006. And so when that happened, like they said, he became a variant. So now you have two timelines that have been split. So it's pretty much depending on which one he goes to, that's going to happen. Because like right now, basically, there's two 616 versions that are happening. One where Loki did not get arrested and go meet his fate. And then there's one where he's taken out right now. And since they didn't fix that, that's one of the branches that popped off. Yeah. But I think
I'm assuming CT's talking about like the main one with them. And I feel like, because that'll be the biggest one, because who everybody know, like all the remaining Avengers know that he's dead. So if they go back to the one that we're seeing now, like this Rhodey that we've seen, or the new Captain America, like if he goes back to them, that's going to be a shocker, because like I said,
nobody knows he's dead though.
Actually, Rhodey and them don't know that. Yeah, Rhodey and Captain America.
Nobody knows he's dead,
because they don't talk to him like that. No, they don't talk to Thor like that. Remember, Thor went into exile after that happened.
Right.
So and those are really the only two remaining. So they may not know that. So the only ones it would really be a shocker to is the Asgardians and Thor. That would really be it.
Right. Yeah, and it was 2012, because that's the Avengers that they went back to.
Right.
They went back to 2012. He disappeared with the cube. So the only people who would know he's alive that were existing in Avengers 1 that are still alive are the Hulk, Thor, and Hawkeye.
The Guardians know? Don't the Guardians know?
The Guardians weren't around in 2012.
Yeah.
But they know who Loki is, don't they? Like,
they know Loki. Okay, so again, we're talking about timelines. So the timeline from present day, right? The only people.
They wouldn't have known
Deuce.
him.
God damn it. Go ahead.
I know I'm saying that they wouldn't have known him, but when they saved Thor, didn't he tell them what happened?
He would not have had reason to tell them his brother Loki died. He just said all of my people have been murdered. The only people that he told that Loki was gone was probably Rocket, and I think just Rocket, because that's who he was with the entire Endgame movie. I mean, the entire Infinity War movie.
Yeah, because at most point they found him where everybody was dead and picked him up in space. Right. So and so again too, they don't necessarily got to know who his brother is either, because he just could have been saying his brother. They don't necessarily know who, if that's Loki or not.
Hold up, I'm sorry. This is good. This is good. Captain America put everything back, so technically Loki is still dead. Because if he put the Tesseract back in his hand.
No, so that's what I was saying about them branches. Their original timeline is fixed now.
Right.
And that's what made Loki a variant, because now he's in a branch of reality that's branching off from that. But Captain America fixed the main timeline for 616 that we know. That's why they're holding Loki, because he's not supposed to be here.
Got you.
But what I'm thinking is he's still going to be showing us those top levels of what's going on, because one of they said the clips that they showed, a part of that was when they showed the 3 heads of the timeline, the masters of the timeline, and the version he's in now, it's 3 Kang statues sitting there.
Yeah.
So I think in Loki 2 is going to tell us who, like as you asked when we were talking about where the Secret Wars will be fought, CT, what Kangs are we going to see? Are we going to see the Conqueror? Are we going to see He Who Remains? Are we going to see the Ruler? I think that's going to let us know 3 of the very important Kangs that we're going to see in this multiverse saga from Loki 2. So I think he's going to be really telling us a lot of that and time traveling. I don't know if he's ever going to go back to his own reality. And also, too, I don't think he can get back there either.
Yeah, that's an interesting situation, because if he shows up in anything Avengery, that's gonna be a toss-up. I am excited to see Armor Wars though, because I'm a War Machine fan. Now, this is the opportunity Don Cheadle has to show us, a motherfucker, I'm War Machine. Because for the past 10 years, I've been like, hey man, Michael Jai White is War Machine, bro. Why is he not War Machine?
Michael Jai White, that's one.
Yeah, he hasn't really showed us any like War Machine like action, like where.
But
like,
that's what I'm saying. Hopefully he does it now, because this is now is your series. Because Falcon, aka Anthony Mackie, showed me, okay, I could get behind him being a lead as far as Captain America by the end of the series, but. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing with these sidekicks, bro. Sidekicks, that's what Kevin Feige has done. He gave all these sidekicks the opportunity to be seen as more than sidekicks. When you look at WandaVision, I didn't care about WandaVision until towards the end of it. And I was like, oh, okay, now I care. Because they didn't have origin movies or standalones. When I looked at the Hawkeye series, I still didn't care about Hawkeye.
I don't either.
It was more so like, all right, cool, Kate Bishop. I play her on a video game. Let's see what's up. But they also showed him as an aging Hawkeye. Anytime you show an aging superhero with a family he cares more about, I can't really get behind this dude. I always relate more to the guy that doesn't have the family, that's like, no, I got to stop these guys, and I got a girl that I care about, and that type of thing.
But then too, what also ruined that for him was Endgame when he became Ronin. So it's like we're seeing how y'all set him up, which is kind of like how he's set up in the comics. It's like when stuff happens, we know Hawkeye survives. Like even when it was old man Logan and he was, walking around, like the whole dystopian Earth, Hawkeye still survived, had the missing arm, the long black hair. I think it was blind too and some stuff like that. But we know he survived. And so it's like now that's what y'all shaped this Hawkeye to be. So it's like I don't care about continuing to see him. It's like you gotta have him pop in like y'all had us have him with Ronin. It's like, okay, if he has to be included, this is what's going on right now with him. And that's it.
Yeah, that's what they showed us a better version of Hawkeye when they showed us that the little glimpse of Ronin. We were like, no, I want that. Give us that. Like
he's the guy.
But he's a convicted felon. He should be in prison.
Remember they expunged it. Remember they expunged him and Scott.
What's his name? Winter Soldier. Like you can't just expunge this shit, man.
They expunged it. Yeah, they expunged because remember they proved that he was brainwashed, so that's why his record got expunged.
There's a lot of feelings in here.
We got to remember they white too, so that's
true. That helps.
Yeah. Now, if you'd have been like, man, they gave that to Sam Wilson, you're right. This don't seem believable.
That don't seem believable. But that shows why
Morbius all over.
That's why we needed She-Hulk sooner, because then all of this stuff would have made even more sense with the records being expunged. Yeah. So when you look at these heroes, it's like what I didn't like about watching Falcon and Winter Soldier is them being like, yo, you don't have the money to help your sister, and it's like I'm not paid anything.
I didn't like that
They give you no money.
Because why was the first time that we talked about them not getting paid have to be the black guy trying to get a loan? Like you could have started it with anybody else, but you started with the black guy.
Oh, that's funny.
But also too though they followed suit with the woman as well, because the woman also, because She-Hulk mentioned that she was
so
like,
all the minorities,
why would I
group of
join?
people.
Yeah, they was like, why would I join the Avengers? Do they got a health plan? Like if I get pregnant, do they got maternity leave? Like what are the benefits of me being a superhero? Do I even get paid? And it was
Here's
like,
let's
real.
Let's do it, Will, because goddamn you, bro. Let's talk about She-Hulk, man. Here's the thing, bro.
No. We saving this. You know why? Because you only got a few more minutes. We got to leave at 3:30. So we're going to keep it moving for the sake of being able to talk about this once the show is. We're going to stay dedicated to letting the show go, and then we're going to talk about it. So moving forward, we also did get to see a clip of Echo. You know, we'll see what happens.
You know,
But
the show nobody asked about.
Yeah,
or
but
for.
But here's the thing: I was like that about She-Hulk at first. When they first announced She-Hulk, I had zero interest, and then after I watched the first episode, I was all in. So right now with Echo, I'm like, all right, whatever. But I'm gonna still give it that first episode, and it may because like right now Marvel, they be grabbing me every time I said I'm not interested in this. They've been grabbing me. And everyone, like the only one that didn't grab me that I was actually interested in was, and I wasn't. It was like the slight. I was like, I'm
Miss
not
Marvel.
really interested in Hawkeye. No, Hawkeye. I fuck with Miss Marvel. I love Miss Marvel.
I didn't.
I'm not watching that.
Hawkeye is Hawkeye is the bottom tier for me. I hated Hawkeye. Like I said, I only was invested in are we getting Kingpin and oh shit, it's Clayton English. I want to see him. Like that was the only thing I cared about in that whole series.
That shit was a TV movie. And I will say, I love my guy Clayton English, dude. Love that guy. I was very happy for him. I immediately texted him congratulations. It was a massive look for him and for him to be in the MCU. Phenomenal. My thing was, why are they making it so family feel after we just saw him play Ronan in Endgame? You feel me? Miss Marvel, I watched episode 1 and I was like, all right, I'm not the audience. It has nothing to do with race. It just has more to do with the way that
it's shot for youth. It's shot
it's shot for kids.
It is. No. I can definitely understand that.
Like
when I see She-Hulk, oh fam, this is a show that when I went to Miss Marvel, I was like, oh, I want to watch, I want to like it. And it was like, this is for kids. When I looked at She-Hulk, I went in like, I can't wait to hate this. And it was fire.
I loved having a low expectation for it, and it just going above and beyond. It was just like, yo, I love this. I love this. So, but I hope to have the same thing maybe for Echo, and the only thing I'm really hoping for. It's because the thing is like She-Hulk you kind of know about. And so you can already see what's coming. Like with Echo, it's like you got to be kind of a hard comic book fan to know this. And so the only thing I'm even excited about with Echo, and that's if they do it like this, is the fighting sequences.
Right, that's it.
Because of the fact that she's deaf, it's like, okay, if you can have the same fight sequence like Daredevil did in the Netflix show, then you got something with me. And then, go ahead.
But when you look at Echo,
hearing impaired.
Yeah, she's deaf. She can't hear.
In real life.
Nigga, he said yes. Here's the fact.
I think so, actually.
When you look, fuck it.
Because that's a market. Because she's Native American and she's hearing impaired, so that's why they probably catering to that community. But go ahead, CT.
Are you sure I can go now?
Oh, this nigga being a
God damn, nigga. If it ain't you, it's Deuces. It's like, fuck, and I finish this fucking sentence, nigga. Here's the thing. With Echo, bro, when you look at Hawkeye, the reason people get spinoffs is because a character pops, okay? But when a character pops, audience is like, oh, shit, I want to see their story. When I'm looking at She-Hulk and I see Wong come in, I'm like, I didn't know I love this motherfucker that much. I want to see stories with Wong, right?
Wong is Iron Man. I don't care what nobody's saying. Wong is the new Iron Man. I know everybody to be strange.
They did want to be strange. It's Wong. He's so cool because the way that they paint it, and it's like the funny thing is, shout out to the writers of She-Hulk, not going to into She-Hulk, but I'm just saying shout out to the writers of it, because they realize he popped to where they're like, okay, we know you want to see more Wong. It's like, yes, I want to see more Wong. So when you show me Echo on Hawkeye, I did not. Like, we already knew she was getting a spinoff when we were watching the show, and I'm like, I don't want to see her get a spinoff because she's not likable. When you have a lead character, they have to be likable. You have to want to see them. In Hawkeye, I wanted to see the mother from Kate Bishop. I wanted to even see the swordsman, who the guy that the mother was dating.
Yeah.
I also wanted to see, like we say, Clayton English, his character. I would have loved to see anybody else get a spinoff other than Echo. She was not interesting to me.
Because they also, too, they didn't deliver Echo enough. So it was like, yo, if you're going to give me this character that nobody really knows and stuff, you didn't prep it up enough in Hawkeye. Like, what should have happened is Echo should have had the suit the whole time after the auction. And that leads Clayton to come, Clint to come to her. So that way it's like, okay, this is more of a top villain rather than this just being this side person that you're going to have us have this hero overcome and learn this stuff. And it was like, I don't care. I don't care that your drug dealer daddy got shot and it was your cousin's fault.
Yeah.
But they're setting it up. They're setting up the new Daredevil, and they're going to have Kingpin in it. And like it's a diverse hire because it's all Native American cast, backstory. So they're setting it up because now she's going to be in Daredevil. So
I have no problem with her being in Daredevil. My problem is not with Native Americans. First of all, this is their country. Let's just start there. My problem is likability. I can't tell you if you ever watched a show called Banshee. They had so many amazing Native American actors in this show, to where I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize how badass Native Americans were in this sense, because they never get a chance to be shown in this light. It's not about her being Native American. It's about her character not being likable and popping off the screen to get her own show.
Because even to that point, that Hulu movie, The Predator with Prey, like,
Fire.
She's Native American. But again, she rarely had to talk. She didn't have a lot of dialogue, but again, too, we got behind her because of the way they presented her and stuff, too. And it's like Echo wasn't presented like that. You were presented as a D-list character. It's like bad guy. No, it was like bad guy, underboss, henchman, Echo. And it's like, you didn't give us enough to where it's just like, okay, you need to show me how badass this person is. Like, even with her being deaf, her fight scenes, you didn't make it fully come together for us to like, because you see how Daredevil is when he blind. It's like, yo, all the stuff he be putting together when he doing stuff, give us that with her.
Also, I'll give you this.
A deaf person and a blind person team up together. That's gonna be a dope ass idea.
You out of control. I will say this: when you look at not Echo but Yelena, I would have loved to seen a Yelena get a show.
I definitely would.
Because it's like, oh my God, she popped. She was likable, and they introduced her character in this movie.
And she has a way better reason for it because she blipped. So her figuring out what happened to the Widow program.
Come on now.
That would have been a hard spinoff.
Come on now.
Especially like when they showed her in Hawkeye and she came back and how the bathroom was changing and stuff like that. I was so into seeing what's finna happen to her. And it was just like, okay, but they didn't give us that.
You got to think about also with Yelena's character, like the fact that like the Marvel fans love Natasha Romanoff. We've been with her for this time. You get put in this movie and you outshine this character that we've been with for 10 plus years. Like, that is a huge testament to you as a character, as an actor, as like, just like you really killed that role to the point where people like, all right, we was upset that they killed off Black Widow, but if she takes the role, we good. You know what I'm saying? Like, she killed it that much.
We were ready to see her be the new Widow because she was so likable. She popped off screen. She was funny. She was charismatic. I can go on and on. So when I look at the young lady playing Echo, it was like, I can't think of a scene where I wasn't annoyed by her in it. I was like, every scene was annoying. Even when they had their final fight and he got it through her head, I did not do this.
Right.
And she's like, huh. And it was like, my God.
It was the same look every time. It was this.
Exactly. Every
like,
scene.
I told you that it wasn't me, and this is the person that killed your father.
I want y'all to save this scene, this clip right here. When y'all start liking him, like I told y'all.
No,
it's gonna be fired.
But that's what I'm getting to. Like, if you, like I said, if you do the elements of like Daredevil's fight scene, if you give us a good backstory of this, it does have that potential. I'm just saying, for and I can only speak for myself, that as of right now, they didn't give me enough to sell me to be excited for when Echo drops. So it's like, again, too, I'm coming in with a low expectation, and it might be just like She-Hulk. That shit just wow, yo,
yeah.
And then speaking of which, too, the same thing on the chopping block with that is Daredevil, because we did learn that Daredevil is coming back. It's gonna get 18 episodes, but it is not
18.
Yeah, and it
right
is not season 4. This is indeed a reboot. So this is season 1 of Daredevil Born Again. I have no idea what that means.
No original characters?
No, because Kingpin is in it. Charlie Cox is in it. They haven't said anyone else, but Rosario Dawson has expressed that she wants to come back playing her character in the new Daredevil. I think they did say something about Foggy also mentioning that he wants to come back. So I hope
Redhead come back. What was her name from True Blood?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jessica.
Woo, love her.
Yeah, man, I love her.
So I mean, if they had the same universe. Because they in Daredevil, they definitely said stuff like, the Green Man upstairs and I'm not a man throwing hammers around. They said stuff like that in Daredevil. So they definitely acknowledged the MCU. So if that being said,
but the MCU never acknowledged them. So that's the caveat. That's their out. They was like, yeah, y'all acknowledged us, but we never said about y'all. So that's why they're able to do this Born Again and everything like that.
But they somewhat acknowledging them because that's a very thin line. That's a very thin line of what they're doing, because even in Hawkeye, technically Kingpin is not Netflix Kingpin. And you mute CT. And he has more powers now. Like if you notice, he has super strength now. Like how he threw Kate and stuff like that. So this is technically a different Kingpin in a sense. And then the same thing with like Daredevil, he has on the different suits now and stuff like that. So it's like there may be slight alterations like that, but it's just like that. I am very curious to see what they mean by reboot.
You think the Netflix Defenders, all those groups, is a different universe?
No, I'm gonna tell you why.
No, they
wouldn't have bought all those properties and showed them on Disney Plus if they were gonna reboot them all. If that was the case, they just left them on Netflix and created their own. But for them to buy the properties and have Charlie Cox coming back, they're doing just like they did with Netflix, testing the waters. Then they're going to probably redo Defenders and redo the properties that popped. I do believe that they would probably recast Iron Fist, though. I don't know if they bought his. Did they buy his?
They bought it. Yeah, it's on there. They have been talking about that. Like
the disrespect. Yeah, we want 3.
But we got 4.
No, because they're supposed to be making Iron Fist Asian, because that was the big thing about it. They was like, you need more representation. So they was just like, we want everybody except him.
You know what they would do? Here, would you do this though as an actor? If they were like, yo, we recast an Iron Fist and you were Iron Fist, but we're gonna have you play the brother-in-law. Remember the guy that he grew up with?
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have you play him instead of Tom Pelphrey. What do you think? Would you do it?
Wait, has he done anything since then? What has he done?
I'll tell you right now.
He was in Ozark.
No, not Tom Pelphrey. He's talking about the guy who played Iron Fist.
He was in something recently.
It's a pride thing. You definitely have to follow your pride.
Pride, and when you ain't actively working, your pride get pushed a little bit aside to it. If you ain't actively doing anything, he may be like, all right, look, I got to get in where I fit in.
But to get benched in your own series, that's tough. That's tough. Like, yo, for real, like, just not for real. Like, CT, imagine if you were head of a show, you done starred for 2 seasons, they be like, hey, listen, We're gonna bring Dion Lack in, and we're gonna have you.
Woo!
He gonna play your part, but you gonna play his brother.
That's what would happen. So here's the thing: he's been working. He's been working consistently. He just finished a series called Dickinson, 10 episodes last year. He did a movie. He also, did a 6-episode show called Swimming with Sharks. Now he just got done doing 2 more movies. So he's been working, but nothing like he done.
Okay, because Dickens is with the chick that played Kate Bishop. That's that one on Apple.
Okay, that makes sense.
With Emily Dickinson.
So I don't know. Tom Pelphrey is amazing. If you saw him in Banshee as well, he was phenomenal.
He killed it in Ozark as the bipolar brother. He killed that role. Yes. So I could see it, but I don't know, man. Like how you said, CT. I don't see them bringing them back and not using them.
Yeah, it's like, why would you do it? And then in the same sense, when you see all these actors, bro, fire.
Yeah, and Kristen Ritter already said like she's definitely down to come back as Jessica Jones, and they was like she's just waiting for the call.
That's good that she's waiting for the call. Anyway, I would love to see.
Y'all gonna put some respect on Jessica Jones' name, all right?
That show, season 2. Everybody did an incredible job. I don't know because I'm ready to get an audition for it.
I think you mistaken season 3 because we even counting that.
They did 3 seasons.
Yes, 2 was with the mom. 2 was with
2 was with the mother.
3 is her and her best friend.
No, wait a second. Let me look this up. I think they only did 2 seasons.
I remember her friend got powers, right?
Yeah, because wasn't that the 3rd season?
I thought that was only season 2.
Yeah, that was season 2. Hold on.
She definitely did 3 seasons. I'm looking at it right now.
They had 3 seasons?
Because I forgot who was her 3rd one. What was her 3rd one about?
Trash, yo.
Because I remember the last one, she was in like a subway station, and then they were about to give her next case or some stuff like that. Damn, what was that 3rd one about?
She did 3 seasons. You're right.
And what about?
I don't remember season 3. I only remember the season with her mom. And then I remember them showing shades of her best friend getting powers, but I don't remember season 3 at all. That's how bad it must have been.
Yeah, she was shooting up. Like she became like a junkie. That's what she. Yeah, that was like what the 3rd one was. So that was like the main arc, and then it like switched up to something else, but I can't remember what it is. I think it has something else to do with like Kilgrave or something. I can't remember.
That season 1 was fire.
Yeah, but they also said that old boy said that he was down to come back as Punisher too, and supposedly they are.
I hope so.
They are setting something up for Punisher. Apparently,
he can't not be Punisher. He's the new Punisher, bro.
Yeah, like that's him.
He was born to play that role, like Robert Downey Jr. was born to play Iron Man.
Yeah, and it got to still be just as gruesome. And so, we'll see what happens with the Defenders and everybody else. So I hope they do get the rollout just like Daredevil is, and being able to get their chance to shine in the MCU. We also got news for Captain America 4, New World Order, New Logo. We also found out that the leader from the original Incredible Hulk is going to be in this movie as well. No details.
Whose echo is that, bro? Do y'all hear that?
Yeah.
I know it's a TV screen on behind you. Is that wouldn't project?
The TV screen?
Yeah, it's a TV screen behind you, Will, that turned on while we were filming. But who's fucking echo? Let me mute myself. Let me see if you.
Check.
Let me mute myself.
Yeah, it's not me. Mute yourself, Dion.
Yo.
All right, it's not Dion. Mute yourself, Deuces.
Check.
Boom. Well, look at that.
Idiot.
Look at that.
Hey, low key, when he said it, I started turning down my speaker a little bit. Like, let me turn that down.
Yeah, but how he called it out. Look at that.
Look at
that. Like, imagine if he found a killer like that.
Look at that.
And there y'all have it, ladies and gentlemen. We found the killer. Yo, please do that in villainy. Please do that in villainy.
Look at
Look who's
He was the first one to say, "Oh, whoa, no, I'm the administrator. It cannot possibly be me. What about this nigga?"
Man.
But yeah, man, we were saying, like Captain America 4 was announced. Nothing really given about it, just saying that you'll get to see a little bit more of like what the new world order is and setting up. However, I guess, like the U.S. is taking everything after the blip with him being the new Captain America, and those things have to deal with just actually donning that suit and whatever that new threat is going to be. And to be honest with you, that also could be the part where we might start seeing mutants.
I'm not excited for Captain America.
I'm not either.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, what? It's just when I want to.
A lot of shoes to fill, a lot of room in them shoes to fill, because I liked Captain America 1, but a lot of people don't like Captain America 1 First Avenger. People love Winter Soldier and then Civil War. But realistically, those aren't solo films. He had a team up in part 3 where you had every superhero in the Marvel universe at the time without the Hulk and Thor. And then part 2 was introducing the Winter Soldier, introducing the Falcon, introducing all these separate characters. He even had Black Widow.
He was a fugitive. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? He was a fugitive. So it's like he's never had a solo film except the one he did, and people don't like. So
which I thought was great.
I loved First Avenger because it was just like the cartoon. But now he's fighting an uphill battle, because if he doesn't have a lot of cameos or a team up, or like y'all just talking about the mutants being introduced, people aren't going to like it. But I'm excited to see Anthony Mackie get this opportunity to be the lead, to really be Captain America and Falcon. The only thing I regret is that he didn't take that super soldier serum in the series.
Yeah. Also, if you going to make this movie, you got to make it real. If somebody don't drop the N-bomb in this movie, I see it. Somebody got to call him a nigga. Nigga got to get said in this movie.
I am not going to respect no nigga Captain America.
I got to see all that.
Yeah, I got to see somebody in Mississippi
in this movie.
Fight somebody in Alabama and Mississippi. It's like, the real
he ain't my Captain America.
Not our captain. Yeah, that's it. Not our captain. Not our captain, not this guy. And he got wings. What you think he is, an eagle? Your ass out my sky.
I'm interested to see, but you never know. Here's the thing, dudes. I'm gonna call you out because you did not say you had to leave early in the email. You didn't tell none of us what was going on.
I didn't.
And now you said you got to go.
That's because y'all know, like I still working 9 to 5. So like
I'm glad you acknowledged that. You said I can do this specific time because unless y'all can push it 30 minutes, I'll be there, and we already in it, so you should be free during this time.
Yep.
I should, but when you answer to a boss, I can't control that.
Here come that bullshit. You hear that shit?
See, I'm sitting here just 3:30. I know we got to be
Dion type. I gotta leave now.
Right, yeah, like, you know what?
Woo, niggas ain't worth shit, boy.
I know, man.
Listen, I don't have the luxury of having a full free day.
Oh, you hear that, fellas? You hear how he's talking to us? I don't have the luxury of having a full free day.
What you mean? We don't have free days.
Now I'm just digging my grave.
Woo, this brother out of control.
But we can cap it off because there's not too many things that were left, and we've already pretty much covered everything Marvel that was announced. The only things that we did miss was Werewolf by Night, which I am excited to see. Just because it's Halloween, nothing, and the fact that Man-Thing is in there. I just want to see how they're going to do him. I'm hoping that they said that the trailer that they released was in black and white, and that was just for the trailer. I'm hoping that's not true, and they do both versions and let us see either a black and white one or one that is in color, because it looks like it is going to have that Vincent Price type of aesthetic feel, and old school kind of like Alfred Hitchcock type of shot. So I'm curious to really see Werewolf by Night, and it's kind of just like almost like a whodunit. Same thing like Villainy. That's literally what almost like Werewolf by Night is, and it's just like who is the actual werewolf amongst all of these hunters, and they're gonna find out that night who it is. So I'm excited to see that.
It's a good place to add Blade or Moon Knight just to kind of throw that in there.
That would be something. Yep. Or even something about Ghost Rider, like a Legend of Ghost Rider or something like that. Not even having to say Johnny Blaze, just like a legend of that, or some kind of demon that they have in the MCU, like Mephisto. Like this would also be a great thing to show something that regards to Mephisto. And then last, it's up to you if you want to call it least. It's up to y'all. The Marvels. They let us know about what was going on with the Marvels.
What's going on with them?
So pretty much it's just showing that it will show all three of them, and it clears up what happened in Miss Marvel. So I know y'all not gonna see it, but at the end of Miss Marvel, Brie Larson's Marvel and Kamala switched places. And so Bree's in her house, and we don't know where Kamala went. So we assume that she went in the direction of wherever Bree's character was, but that's actually not true. She actually swapped places with Monica's character. And so they find her in an astronaut suit in the same space on the same spaceship that Nick Fury is in. And so you see Kamala kind of floating as she hits the glass and see Nick Fury and taps. She said, "Can I be an Avenger?" And she just keeps floating as she's trying to get some help.
Is that so? What is that? The tag of the final episode?
Oh no! The tag was when her and Bree switched, and it just went up. You saw Bree in her room, and then saw like all of like Kamala's artwork of her, and she just like, "Yo, what the fuck am I?" And it just goes off.
How did that switch happen though?
So supposedly they're so they haven't shown it, but it has to do something with all of them are connected somehow. Because it also they showed where Monica ended up, which is where Breeze was, and I forgot exactly what she was doing. I can't
remember at the end of WandaVision, she's like, Nick Fury wants to see you. Where?
Up there.
Oh,
that's how we saw her,
and that's how Kamala ends up in her suit. But we don't know what Bree was doing, but they show where she was, and I think she was in front of like some Kree warriors or something like that before she got swapped out. But that's where Monica currently is. So,
and this is what happened in the trailer that you saw?
Just the snippets that they showed. It was just a little clip and snippets of what they showed. So it wasn't the actual trailer. It was just snippets that they gave at D23. So
interesting.
So it's interesting to see like exactly what the Marvels are gonna do, but it still hasn't really given us enough to just get hyped to want to go see it. Like how everyone's saying. It still just kind of does, okay, we'll see what these Marvels are gonna be about.
I'm interested now.
Yes. Me, however, I hope they introduce Rogue and she sucked the life out of Brie Larson.
Brie Larson, I love Brie Larson as an actress. I also think separately she's very beautiful. I assumed that Miss Marvel, and that's a testament to how Robert Downey Jr. played this role. I assumed that every time I see a new Marvel character get their own movie, I'm like, oh, this is about to be the new Iron Man, right? Because they're gonna take on the leadership role, and we know Captain Marvel is so powerful. When I saw her leading the film, there were moments that were star makers. She was already a star, but I'm talking about in the comic book sense, likability factor. There are star makers, and there was one line that could have made her a massive lovability of an actor in this film, and she didn't seize it. It was a scene where she was on the ship and she was fighting everybody, and she had her hands bound, right?
Yeah,
like the cuffs on. And then she goes up to a guy and she was like, you got the key to these? No? Okay, well, I'll just fight you anyway. And I was like, oh, if you would have delivered that even a smidget a little differently with a little bit more charisma, everybody would have been with you. And that was one of those lines that in the movie theater, it just like, it went flat. And I was like, damn.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So we'll try to see exactly what's going to happen with the Marvels too, man. We'll keep hope, just like we'll keep hope with Echo. But we want to know from y'all in the comments below, what was your favorite takeaway from D23, and what are you excited to see coming next in the MCU? And that's going to wrap up this episode. We talked about Marvel, all the D23 announcements, what we like, what we didn't like. But we thank y'all for sitting here and checking this out, and always just being a part of this blurred community where we get to come and express ourselves, talk about comic books, nerd stuff, and all things around. So before we get out of here, I know Deuces has to shoot, so the CT. So I'm gonna let y'all go first with letting people know how to support y'all. End off with Dion, and I'll close this thing out if y'all need to do.
Well, the first thing I would say, man, again, as always, I love being a part of this. Thank you guys, man, for always having me and everything like that. I can finally talk about it. If you on the 23rd of September, my first video with Watch Mojo will be dropping. I'm now a contracted voice actor for Watch Mojo. I'll be reading some of their top 10 lists. So make sure you pull up on the 23rd. Check that out. I think my first list is top 10 DC scandals, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I go there.
Ezra Miller's number one.
We only got 10.
There's a whole lot, but yeah. So I'm excited for just to go on this journey and everything like that. So it would mean so much for y'all to pull up and check that out.
Congratulations, man.
Congrats, bro.
Thanks,
Yes,
bro.
indeed. CT?
Man, Villainy, when does this air?
This will air next Friday.
This Friday. This Friday. Okay. So if you're watching right now, the final episode of Villainy will air Tuesday, September 20th. It ends our 6-episode run on Caffeine. I hope that you guys can tune in. It will be an honor. If you don't know how to download Caffeine, it's free. Just sign up and check out Villainy on All Def. I am also going to be completing my interview at Dion's office. If you see his background, I'm going there right now. So check us out. Tell him my qualifications in the background.
Dion, your great background is up.
Man.
Yeah. What up? This is Dion Lack. Great stuff happening down the pipeline. I too will be having a show airing on Caffeine within the next 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yep, we've been shooting the promos to kind of promote for the space and the venue. I'm going to have CT hosting. It's going to be a lot of fun. My guy Will is one of the contestant cousins, if you will. It's going to be a co-host with CT and KB, Kanisha Buss. If you are in Los Angeles, this is a podcast space where you can shoot podcasts. Obviously, 4 cameras, 4 mics will be here very soon. We have another location on the other side. It is under construction, but it will be done tomorrow. Super excited about that side. Yeah, man, that's it. Follow me at Dion Lack.
Yes, indeed. Nice. Yes, indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking out another episode of Straight Outta Comic Book. Be sure to like, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the notifications so when these episodes are dropping. And make sure you check out the audio version on all audio podcast platforms, iTunes, Apple's, the whole shebang. Also, check out Arcade Tokens. We have a new podcast coming out on there soon as well. And as well as just be on the lookout for some other stuff I got coming up, man. I'm at 93%. I'm coming back. I'm at 93%. And I got a lot to show y'all. So, yes, thank y'all for checking out another episode of Straight Outta Comic Book. And we shall catch you next time.
Boom.